If you are in your 20s and 30s, please hear me out. I just hit my 5-year anniversary since surviving a massive cardiac arrest. And let me tell you, when you're laying in bed and you're wondering if you're going to make it, you definitely look back at your life and wonder, where did things go wrong? What could I have done differently? I have made this list of 10 things that I wish I could tell my younger self. So the fact that you guys are here, I really hope you take these seriously, because you never know what's going to happen in life. These things could save you years of stress, regret, and wasted time. And more importantly, your health and living. So today I'm going to share them with you. And listen, please stay till the end, because the last 2 things, in my opinion, are the 2 most important things I have ever learned. So let's get into it. Number 1, choose your life partner very carefully. Who you choose to be your life partner will either be your greatest source of strength or your biggest source of drain. So take your time, don't rush, and don't settle. Now, I'm not saying the person you meet earlier in life can't be the one. Don't rush into something. Make sure you're compatible. I dated before I got married, like most people do. And I remember on many occasions, I had friends tell me off to the side, Mike, you don't seem like you're yourself when you're around her. You seem like you're kind of acting a little bit phony. And I didn't really think about that too much at the time. If you have to change the way you are, and I'm not talking about bad habits, but your personality, then it's probably not a good fit. So I believe compatibility is important, and it's okay to have different opinions and different hobbies. But if you have the main core values, if you share those, if you're both striving to be better versions of yourself, that person is likely going to be a good fit. If you feel happy when you see them, they're probably a good fit. And being with my wife, Monica, now for almost 20 years, things go a lot smoother if your life partner is there to cheer you on in your victories, but they're also there to console and embrace you when things go very badly. You need that person that is your biggest fan. Number 2, strive for resilience over pursuing happiness. Everybody talks about wanting to be happy. My goal in life is to be happy. Did you know, and experts will say this, at some point in your life or somebody close to you, disaster will strike. There will be a catastrophe. That could be cancer, heart disease, like in my case. That could be a sudden car crash. So there could be chronic illness, and there could be a sudden death in the family. And so, of course, if moments of happiness come in your life, embrace those. Enjoy those. I'm not saying you can't be happy. Take note when those happen and enjoy them. But there's going to be a lot of difficult times that come ahead for you and the ones you love. And sometimes more than one bad thing can happen. You have to build a coat of armor so you can be resilient when those things do happen. That means you have to learn how to manage stress. You have to learn how to decompress in your life. You have to learn how to be strong for the ones you love when bad things happen, by putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, not avoiding things, bringing on tension on purpose. Only then you can learn to overcome your fears. These things, in psychological terms, are known as exposure therapy, something that was huge for my anxiety recovery. And that's just a little bonus piece of information for you. I do believe it's okay to be happy, but strive to learn to be resilient, because you have to be ready when catastrophe will strike. Number 3, you get what you focus on. I can't stress this enough. Your thoughts shape your reality. Take it from me. I was diagnosed with major depression in my early 20s. I spent decades focusing on the negatives in my life, and it's really hard to not be depressed when all you do is sulk in your own sorrows and think about how bad you feel. If you constantly focus on what's wrong, all you'll get are negative things in your life. More problems will continue to show up. If you focus on more positive things like solutions to the issues, more good things will happen and opportunities will show up in little places that you didn't expect. So be mindful of what you tell yourself every day. A huge step in my depression and my anxiety recovery has been catching when I'm engaging in negative thinking. The moment you realize that, you've already made a huge step to feeling better, and only then can you work on the other little things that actually find full recovery? Be mindful, very mindful of what you tell yourself every day. Really listen to your inner voice. Are you constantly beating yourself down? If you are, how can you possibly expect to go out in the world and be friendly to people? How can you expect to be a happy person if you're constantly being negative? If you are suffering from some different things, absolutely go get help, because you have to help yourself before you can help others. So definitely watch what you're focusing on and make them more positive. Number 4, stop worrying and caring what other people think. I heard this so many times growing up, and it really didn't sink in. I find in your 20s, you care way too much. And then in your 30s, it dips a little bit. But for most people, when you do get to your 40s, and I can say that I'm finally getting there, you start to realize that people really don't care about you as much as you think they do. If you're in a waiting room, if you're at an event and something happens, like some little embarrassing moment takes place, I promise you, even if there's a quick chuckle or a quick moment where a person smirks, they've long forgotten about that. So why should you focus on what they think of you when I promise you it's very fleeting, if it even happens? By worrying about what other people think, you put so much pressure on yourself, and we don't need that undue pressure. There's already enough going on in the world. Number 5, find balance in your work versus personal life. Because if you don't, you'll be miserable in both. It's okay to work hard, but don't let work own you. And chasing success is great, but if you neglect your health and your friends and your spouse and those around you, everything's going to crumble like a house of cards. I have friends who are in their 40s like I am. And I remember we had candid conversations at one point. And my one friend especially, he's been trying to get overtime now for the last 10 or 15 years. Like me, his kids are in their teens. And he came to me one day. He said, my heart is broken. They were having a conversation in the kitchen with the family. His daughter, who just graduated, went to him and said, Dad, you were never around. You're always at work. You didn't come to this. You didn't come to that. You missed my birthdays. So he felt crushed when he told me this. And this is not the only person I know. Yes, we have to work to live. We have to earn a living for our family. And it's okay to work hard, and it's okay to put in longer shifts here and there. But you have to find balance. You have to find the balance of what your body can handle and being able to come home and have time to spend with your family, because you only get one chance at that. So try to find an even mix of what works best for your family. You don't want to become 40, 50, 60 years old, look back and say to yourself, oh my goodness, where did my life go? I worked way too hard and I never saw my loved ones. What good is earning a ton of money if you don't actually spend time to enjoy it? So be careful how you balance your work-life mix. Number 6, stop procrastinating and reach out to your friends or family now. I remember seeing a clip on YouTube, I think it was last year, where the host and the interviewer were talking about time and how time flies by and you don't want to regret things that you should have done. And the person being interviewed, out of nowhere, asked the host, he said, how often do you see your parents? How often do you talk to your parents? And the host said, about twice a year. And he asked, how old are your parents? And they said, in their late 70s. And he said, okay, so let's just say they have hopefully, 5, hopefully 10 years to live, just if you go by averages. He did some quick math and he said to the host, you probably have 10 or 20 more times you're going to see them. And he went on to say, he goes, when you start to look at things like that, you realize that you don't know what's going to happen, and you got to take that time to reach out and call your loved ones. And now, if you guys are in your 20s and 30s and you're watching this, it's likely not your parents that are that old. It's likely your grandparents. But again, life has a lot of unexpected things that happen. And I'm not saying somebody is going to drop dead, but as I mentioned before about the part about being resilient, you don't know when things are going to happen. You have to be prepared, but you have to reach out to people. Don't let weeks and months slip by where you haven't spoken to that good friend of yours that might be going through something. You never know if somebody's going through something. So them getting a phone call from you could be more important than you could imagine. That happened to me. I was extremely depressed in my late teens and having some very emotional and dark thoughts. And a friend called me randomly out of the blue, and he was making me laugh. And it was a nice, deep conversation that I hadn't had in a while. And I told him, I said, you have no idea how big this phone call was. And he goes, I just got this urge. I haven't talked to you in a while, Mike. And you just don't know when somebody needs to hear from you. If you don't want to call, start with a text. And conversely, by the way, if you are struggling, if you are like I was in my late teens, early 20s, and you are severely depressed, please call somebody. Please reach out. Don't put it off. Call somebody right away. Number 7, stop waiting for the right time. There is no perfect time to take that risk, to start a new project, to take on a new task. There really isn't. We all do it. I have procrastinated for a long time. Look what happened to me. I had the cardiac arrest at 41. I could have died. When I was laying in that bed in that hospital, you start to think back to all the things you wanted to do and you never did. I avoided them. Avoidance behavior and avoiding things is fuel for anxiety. But back to my main point here. What I'm saying is it's never going to be the right time to start something. And really, waiting for the right moment is the same as standing around and doing nothing. It's okay to take little breaks and even scroll through your phone a little bit, everything in moderation. But if there's something you've been thinking about doing, and of course, if it affects people around you, you have to talk to them about it. Don't be impulsive and just jump right in. But if it's something you've had a passion for, don't wait till it's too late. And I'm not saying you're going to have a heart attack at 41, but don't wait for the right moment because it's never going to come. And one of the worst things you can feel is regret. Number 9, one day you'll wish you had more time. You've heard people say, what's that one thing we can't get back? It's time. I almost died at 41 years old. And my biggest regret would not have been, I wish I made more money. I wish I was more successful, or any of those type of things. My biggest regrets would have been looking back and saying, I didn't spend more time with my family. I didn't spend more time just enjoying the view, enjoying the sunset, taking a moment to breathe, taking a moment to take a pause when things are crazy and just taking time to yourself. Everything is so go, go, go and rushed, like I've mentioned before. We don't stop to take notice of the things around us that are actually important, the people that are trying to be nice to us, the little acts of kindness around us. You can't get your time back. So really think now in your 20s and 30s, how you're using it. Are you using your time effectively? When you're getting closer to bedtime, do you look back and say, boy, I really wasted time doing nothing today? Be mindful of how you spend your time. You really, really can't get that back. And I know you're probably sick of hearing older people like me say, trust me, trust me, trust me. Because when I was in my 20s and I had people who were 40 and 50 giving me advice, I pretty much ignored a lot of that too. But please take it from a person who's been there. I'm not a know-it-all. I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor, but I've been on this earth for 46 years. And I really do look back and wish I would have prioritized how I spent my time when I was younger instead of wasting and draining so much of it. But it's okay to spend some time to do nothing. I encourage you to take little breaks and do nothing. And what I mean by nothing, I mean take a moment to pause. And going back to before, don't rush and squeeze all kinds of things at once. You can spend your time wisely, but you don't need to rush and book too many things in at the same time. So you've made it this far, and now we've got 2 left. Number 9, listen to people who are older than you. They've been there. So as I just alluded to, I didn't listen to people that were older than me when I was your age. And not everybody is right about everything. And you might not agree with some things I'm telling you. But for the majority of time, when you speak to people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and I've learned over these decades that although I didn't listen to people older than me when I was younger, I am now listening to people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. They've been there. Experience is so big in life. I've learned so many things from making mistakes myself. I have a friend named Matt who would always joke with me and say, Mike, I learned from your mistakes. So my big piece of advice in this one is to listen to people who are older than you, because most of the time, what they have to tell you is important. They've already done it. They've been there. They've made some mistakes. And you can learn from them so you don't make the same mistakes. So listen to people who are older because they might just give you some golden nuggets. Okay, so here we are. This, in my opinion, is the most important thing because if you don't have this, you have nothing. Take care of yourself now or somebody else will have to take care of you later. I'm, of course, talking about your health. And I know this is going to feel like a lecture. And yes, I'm going to bring it up again. I collapsed on my front lawn with 100% blockage and a 70% blockage with a massive cardiac arrest. My wife did CPR. I was in a coma. I was there for 2 weeks in the hospital, the whole 9 yards. I have had a near-death experience. I'm not going to focus all this in on heart health, but I really am going to emphasize you are not indestructible in your 20s and 30s. Yes, it's okay to have a snack here and there, but one little snack equals 2 snacks, equals 5 snacks, equals fast food 2 days a week to 5 days a week. I ate poorly in my 20s and 30s, and yes, my metabolism may have been quicker, and I was very active playing sports, but it definitely adds up and it catches up to you at some point. You are not indestructible. Pay attention to the details of how you manage your stress. This goes again to learning to be resilient. Don't just think because you're in your 20s, I can eat whatever I want, I can put anything I want in my body, and I can drink as much as I want. Those things add up, and before you know it, you're going to be in your 40s in very bad shape. And it's going to be harder to take care of yourself then. I once saw a great clip online. Warren Buffett was talking to a group of students, and it was kind of funny to hear this because I don't think he normally talks about health-related things. But he essentially was telling the students, if I were to give you any car you want right now, if you could have any car, the nicest car out there, it'll be in your driveway with a bow wrapped around it. But here's the stipulation. It's going to be the only car you ever have the rest of your life. So what are you going to do? You're going to take care of that thing. You're going to clean it constantly. You're going to do maintenance on it constantly. You're going to do everything you can to make that last as long as it can. Why don't we look at our bodies like that? We only get one body. We only get one brain, one mind. So treat your body like that. I'm not saying if you're in your 20s and you're watching this, you have to be hyper fixated on your health, because that's not a good thing either. And I know that from experience if you watch my other videos. But you have to pay attention to a certain degree to make healthy choices, to de-stress your life, to watch what you're eating, watch what you put in your body, because your body does keep score and it does add up and it will catch up to you. So take care of yourself so you can be there for your kids and your grandkids. If you made it this far, I really, really, really want to thank you. It means so much to me. I really hope that you found something in this video that sticks with you, if not many things. Life isn't guaranteed, and I promise you, when you get to your 40s, you're going to be happy that you heard these things now. There are so many good books out there, and I definitely recommend you take the time to research healthier ways to live, ways to be more positive in life, ways to be more resilient. That's a big one. But you definitely have to take care of your health. I cannot stress that enough. If you don't have your health, you have nothing. Please leave your comments below. Which one hit you the most? Which one resonated with you? Which ones do you think aren't that important? Is there something that's not on my list that you feel is important? I would love to hear from you. Thank you for watching. If you haven't seen any of my content, I have a video where I go into the details of my cardiac arrest. Now, I do say viewer discretion advised, and I also talk about the things that I've changed, the things that I've done to promote my heart health. And I will tell you this little tidbit. I had an angiogram recently, and the doctors are saying that my stents look as good as the day they put them in 5 years ago. All this is to say that I have a lot of content on my channel regarding my struggles with mental and physical health. I hope that you'll find something there that will help you too. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.